On the Pittsburgh Hockey Now and the National Hockey Now YouTube page. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. The big news on Monday, Sidney Crosby signs a 2-year contract extension with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He'll add 2 more years onto the current deal at a salary, guess what? $8.7 million is the annual cap hit. Although that's not what he's actually going to be paid each year. There was a little bit of configuring and conflating with some signing bonuses. He's actually going to get a $9 million signing bonus next summer, which should help with the fact that he took a lot less money. Before we begin the analysis, the breakdown, and the details, realize that once again, Sidney Crosby has left millions of dollars on the table so that, as he put it, the Penguins can win. He knows what it takes to win, and that is cash. And that's going to be a very interesting part of our analysis. But here's Crosby on what's most important to him.
Or even go above sort of that value.
I don't know. I think, winning is the most important thing to me. And I think understanding the dynamic and how it works and trying to give the team the best possible chance to be successful, and ultimately you got to go out there and do your best and do your job. So no, I mean, I had some conversations with Kyle throughout the process, and I think that that was reassuring just based on what we discussed as far as there's still hunger from the organization and ownership to win, and a commitment there. And I think that's something that, I think for the time that I've been here, that's been the case, and that's been there. And I think that's really important. I feel like.
All right, a hunger and a commitment to win. That's what reassured Sidney Crosby. Have the Penguins done enough to reward a franchise stalwart giving back millions of dollars? There's an interesting crux, isn't there? Because there's a few layers to this. Crosby needed the reassurance because he wants to win. Dubas gave it to him. Okay, let's just accept all things at face value, that Dubas believes that Kevin Hayes and Cody Glass and Beauvillier and Grzelcyk are the guys who can plug and play and keep the core competitive. We'll just leave that at face value for the moment, right? And then you add McGroarty into this. In 2 years, because Crosby has given back money, he said full stop, he believes they can turn this around. Faith and belief were the words he used after talking with Dubas, that they can get this turned around and be contenders very quickly. I'm curious if you believe that. I'm curious if you buy into all of that. And let's just say over the next couple of summers, the Penguins don't reward this loyalty with free agent acquisitions of a certain nature. What happens? What happens if the Penguins miss the playoffs again this season and they go into next summer and they get a few more reclamation projects? What happens in 2 years if they're 4 years running missing the playoffs, which is entirely possible? How does Sid begin to feel about all of that? Here's a guy who has now put all of his chips in with the Penguins. He's pushed all in once again. Part of that is the reassurances, but also part of it is the belief that he, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang are still elite players capable of carrying a team into the playoffs, and once they get there, whatever happens, happens. There's been nothing Sid has said that has wavered, that he believes that the locker room, the team is capable of that. So there's a little bit of an interesting dynamic that could play out in a year or 2 years. For right now, everybody's happy, Everybody is excited that Sidney Crosby has signed for he's signed for 3 more seasons, 1 more year on this $12 million or 12-year deal, and then 2 more years after that. Just as a side note, let's take a look. You take a decade ago, actually more than a decade ago, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane were making millions more than Sidney Crosby. More than a decade ago, Alex Ovechkin making several million more than Sidney Crosby. Let's just say an average of $3 million per season over the last 15 seasons. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? Or even just over the course of the next 15 years. So Crosby will have put at least $45 million back to the Penguins. That's a lot of scratch that he has passed up. I hope those Tim Hortons commercials pay really, really well. But that's also loyalty. Now Dubas is under full obligation, I think, to reward that and surround Crosby with the absolute best team possible, kind of towing that line, right? Getting the Rutger McGroartys of the world, but also finding the Kevin Hayes and Beauvilliers on the cheap or get draft picks to take a salary dump. Can you win like that? Can you rebuild like that? Stay tuned. All right, I'm Dan Kingerski. That is, I'm going to enjoy this training camp with 19 guys and 13 or 14 spots. I'm going to enjoy these storylines. Can the Penguins get back there? And it all begins on Wednesday when Penguins training camp begins. So like, share, comment. I appreciate you very much. Dan Kingerski, National Hockey Now and the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube